Deshaun Watson has settled all but 4 of his 24 civil lawsuits accusing him of sexual misconduct. But the Browns quarterback seemingly on the brink of an unprecedented NFL discipline for his alleged wrongdoing. Now, he's got a hearing before the NFL and NFL Players Association's jointly appointed disciplinary officer, Sue L. Robinson, which will resume later today. And to get the very latest, let's say good morning to our insider, Josina Anderson. So, Josina, what are you hearing in terms of what we can expect today, and what are the chances this extends beyond today?
So the hearing with Deshaun Watson and the jointly appointed hearing officer, Sue Robinson, continues on today, which is not entirely surprising when I think back to some of these cases that I've covered, from Ray Rice to Adrian Peterson or what have you. Typically, when the subject at hand is very complicated, it's going to take a lot of time to review both sides, to present their arguments, and for the hearing officer to vet through all of that information and ask her own questions. There's a chance that it could extend beyond today. We won't know that until it's done and see what they're able to get through with the proceedings on Wednesday here. But there is a possibility that will happen. I think that when you consider the fact that both sides are so diametrically opposed with the response that they are seeking from Sue Robinson, that being an indefinite suspension with a minimum of a year from the NFL, and with the NFLPA on behalf of Deshaun Watson and his counsel saying that there is no basis for that suspension, and reasoning for why he should not serve any missed games for what is before the hearing officer today. So we just kind of have to go through that process and see. I think right now what you're going to hear is the various arguments that are being presented on both sides, and basically where the hearing officer places her flagpole on that spectrum of possibilities with regards to a violation or not. That will kind of let us know exactly where we may be leaning. But even with that being said, there's still a possibility that both sides can come to a settlement. That possibility remains before Sue Robinson delivers her opinion. And then lastly, I'll just add to that what we know from the NFL side is that they're focusing on 5 of the women that have, brought forth their allegations with regards to Deshaun Watson. We know 20 of those he reached a settlement with civilly or what have you. And on the other side, Deshaun Watson would like to underline the purported mistruths versus those allegations, including what they see as disparate discipline between how the league punishes the owners versus the players.
Appreciate you breaking that down. And then, of course, when it comes to his eligibility and availability for Deshaun Watson, then you have to think from a Browns perspective. And fans, of course, want to know what's going to be the quarterback situation, whether it's Jacoby Brissett or Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield at his youth camp saying, quote, "We're ready to move on." Josina, as he continues to declare his stance, how does that complicate things for Cleveland with any potential type of move here?
Well, I think first and foremost, it behooves the Browns to get as much information from Deshaun Watson's. It's not necessarily saying that Baker Mayfield's outcome is dependent upon Deshaun Watson, but you can see for a general manager doing their due diligence, you want to have all the information underneath the tent. Now, when you're talking about Baker Mayfield, he is still under contract with that 5th-year option worth $18.858 million, which is fully guaranteed, and the Browns will be paying in some form or fashion anyways. And I've continued to say this throughout the entire offseason. If the Browns know that they're allocating that money, whether it's by ratio, if there is a trade, or if they still owe it to him, whether he's cut, which he will not be, and I obviously don't think that makes sense. The point is that money is going to Baker Mayfield. And so if you know that, you have to evaluate all of your options. You said they do have the backup in Jacoby Brissett, which they have a lot of confidence in, but at the same time, the person who follows Jacoby Brissett is Josh Dobbs, who is a contender in and of his own right, but factually has also not started an NFL game in his career. So all of those things you have to keep in mind. And as I mentioned last night on CBS Sports HQ, you have to be mindful of what is your best poker hand. If everyone knows that you're just trying to get rid of Baker Mayfield and you're going to do it by the trade deadline, that doesn't necessarily maintain your leverage in trade talks with teams like the Seahawks and the Carolina Panthers. The bottom line is that the Browns still have $40+ million in salary cap space. That's the most in the entire NFL. Andrew Berry, the general manager for the Browns, has planned financially for whatever outcome may be that he sees fit is either best for the team or that is commensurate with the value that he feels is equal to the pedigree of Baker Mayfield going anywhere. And if that includes having to hold on to him for a certain amount of time, then so be it. I would say that Baker Mayfield is not in charge of his future. He's under contract with the Browns, but he can still exert his influence by choosing to hold out if he wants to. And he will have to take into account how that narrative plays out in the NFL, how much time he's willing to miss out. Potentially with just regards to being in a football camp and football shape and all those other things, and where he thinks is just, kind of the best situation for him relative to his longevity in his career.
All right, Josina Anderson with the very latest there on both fronts, Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, and the Cleveland Browns. Josina, thank you very much. That is the topic of conversation on the Pick Six podcast, on top of top 10 tight ends in the NFL. Will Brinson and Jordan Dejani discussing the trending news again, which includes Deshaun Watson and that hearing.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.